There are moments when time seems to pause, not in chaos, not in fear, but in sacred stillness. This is one of those moments. The bells of St. Peter have tolled. The chair of Peter is empty, and the church, she holds her breath. Today we grieve. Pope Francis has entered eternal rest. And whether you loved him dearly, felt distant, or were just trying to understand what this means, you're not alone. This episode is for you. We're going to walk through what happens step by step after the death of the Pope, the traditions, the rituals, the centuries of reverence. In the hardest times, the Catholic Church is always there to hold us and ground us in her sacred traditions. She knows what to do and how to show up like any loving mother would. And in showing us what to do, the Church, in her infinite wisdom, also teaches us how to grieve in a psychologically healthy way. And she teaches us how to be held in moments like this. Let's begin. The final confirmation: when a pope dies, the Vatican springs into stillness, not chaos. A quiet choreography begins. The man responsible for initiating it is the Camerlengo. Currently, this is Cardinal Kevin Farrell. He enters the Pope's private chapel, approaches the body, and in a voice as old as the Church itself, he calls out the baptismal name of the Holy Father 3 times. Gregorium, Gregorium, Gregorium. There is no answer. And so he speaks the ancient words, Vere Papa Mortis Est. Truly, the Pope is dead. Gone are the silver hammer strikes of ancient history, but the heart of it remains. The name is called, silence is heard, a life is honored. Our psychological insight here is that naming death aloud helps our brain to begin the long journey towards acceptance. When something is said plainly, it anchors the grief into the body, so we're not spinning in shock or denial. Immediately after, the fisherman's ring, the seal of papal authority, is destroyed in front of witnesses. This ring is unique to each pope and was once used to authenticate documents. Why destroy it? Because symbols matter. Because when we see something broken, our hearts begin to believe what our minds are struggling to accept. After the Pope's death is confirmed, his private residence, the Apostolic Palace, is sealed. Not just locked, sealed. A red wax crest is applied to the doors, and no one may enter without permission. This preserves dignity. It protects memory. It tells the world this space is no longer touched by the living. This echoes what therapists call environmental containment. When a space has been linked to someone or something deeply meaningful, we often preserve it temporarily as a way of honoring the past while allowing our nervous system to integrate the change. It's not about clinging. It's about giving the soul time to let go. In your own life, this might look like leaving your child's room untouched after they move out, or keeping a grandmother's rosary in your purse. After the seal is applied, a group of Vatican officials is tasked with inventorying the Pope's items. Some will be archived in Vatican collections, some may be donated, some are destroyed. The process is slow, reverent, and deeply respectful. This is a ritual of meaning-making through memory curation. In grief psychology, we often encourage clients to go through a loved one's possessions slowly, with a posture of blessing. Sorting through items helps create a new narrative, one that says, this person lived, they mattered, they are not erased, but they are no longer here. If you've ever kept a voice message or a pair of old slippers for no other reason than it's theirs, you understand this. With the death confirmed and the symbol sealed, the Church enters what's called sede vacante. Literally, the seat is empty. The Swiss guard stands motionless. The Vatican flag is lowered. All major decisions are paused. In many ways, the Church herself begins to mourn. Only a few key roles remain active. The rest of the Roman Curia, the governing body of the Church, is suspended until the new Pope is elected. Any important decisions go to the College of Cardinals. Grief therapists often recommend not making major decisions in the first weeks after a loss. The Church, in her wisdom, models this. Be still, let the world pause. Pope lies in state. The Pope's body is washed, anointed, and dressed in liturgical vestments. Francis declined the traditional triple coffin. He asked to be buried in a simple wooden coffin lined with zinc, modest, humble, deeply Franciscan. His body is brought to St. Peter's Basilica, where he lies in state for 3 days. The Swiss Guard keeps vigil. The faithful come by the thousands. People cry, people kneel, people bring their children. They come not just to honor a man, but to honor the mystery of a life lived for God. Public mourning rituals allow grief to be shared. When we witness others grieving, it reminds us that we are not alone. The role of the Swiss Guard after the death of the Pope. The Swiss Guard, who protect the Pope in life, do not abandon him in death. They remain stationed beside his body, standing watch, even after the basilica is closed. This devotion is ancient and intimate. During the sack of Rome in 1521, 147 Swiss guards gave their lives to protect Pope Clement, and that loyalty continues even now. They are the silent guardians of the soul of the Church. This reflects the concept of secure attachment in death. Psychologist John Bowlby taught that consistent, visible presence in times of grief helps the nervous system feel safe. When we know someone is keeping watch, it allows us to sleep, to cry, to breathe, and to grieve. This is why we keep vigil. This is why we stay by the hospital bed. The Swiss Guard shows us grief doesn't need answers, it needs presence. The 9 days of mourning. The Church prays for 9 days. Masses are offered daily for the soul of the Pope. Black vestments, candles flicker, requiem chants echo off marble walls. On the 9th day, the Church celebrates the Mass for the closing of the sea. This isn't just tradition, it's also psychologically formed. Repetition and ritual soothe the body. They create a rhythm that helps the heart catch up with the head. The daily rhythm is what psychologists call a grief container. Why the Pope's funeral is public and processional. On the day of the funeral, the Pope's body is processed from the Apostolic Palace to the front steps of St. Peter's Basilica. It's public, it's regal, and it's slow. The casket is carried by hand, not wheeled. The Swiss guards, clergy, cardinals, and mourners line the way. Thousands, sometimes millions, gather in the square as the Litany of the Saints is chanted. Public procession is a form of collective regulation. In the face of national or global loss, private grief becomes communal witness. Dr. Robert Niemeyer explains that when a community watches a coffin move through a sacred space, it externalizes a shared loss. It tells the soul, you are not the only one weeping. That hushed silence, that stillness, that reverence, it's holy and it heals. The funeral liturgy and final blessing. The Pope's funeral Mass follows an extraordinary liturgy unique to his office. It's often celebrated by the Dean of the College of Cardinals, with thousands of clergy and millions watching around the world. One of the most poignant moments is the final commendation, where the coffin is incensed and sprinkled with holy water, and the Church prays, "May the angels lead you into paradise." This is what psychologists call ritualized release, a way of surrendering what we love into something greater. Incense, in particular, engages the olfactory sense, our sense of smell, one of the most emotionally evocative systems in our brain. Smell and ritual ground us, helping grief move through the body in layers. When grief rises unexpectedly at a scent, like pipe smoke or funeral flowers, that's your body remembering. Burial in a chosen place of devotion. Popes are typically buried in the Vatican grottos, close to Peter, but they don't have to be. Pope Francis requested burial in the Basilica of St. Mary Major, under the gaze of a Marian icon he visited before and after every apostolic journey. This is rare, but not unprecedented. 6 other popes are buried there. The last was in the 1600s. Choosing a final resting place is a form of relational legacy anchoring. It speaks to our deepest attachments. In grief counseling, clients often feel immense comfort when they know a loved one is buried in a meaningful location, near a childhood home, a favorite view, or beside a spouse. It becomes part of the story, part of the continued bonds. Mary was always the safe place Francis returned to. We pray she is with him in paradise forever. The Conclave Begins. After no fewer than 15 full days, cardinals gather in Rome. Those under the age of 80 can vote. They are sealed in the Sistine Chapel. No phones, no news, no noise. Votes are cast. Ballots are burned. Conversations and prayers about the next steps in the church are had. Black smoke means no pope. White smoke, a new shepherd emerges. A name is chosen. A new era begins. Healing doesn't mean forgetting the past or getting over the death of someone dear. It means moving forward with reverence. The church doesn't pretend that nothing happened. She names the loss and then, in time, welcomes the new. When grief finds us unexpectedly. And here's the part we may not know how to talk about. What if you're grieving more than a pope today? What if his death has cracked open something older, deeper, more close and personal? Maybe your dad died and you never quite grieved it. Maybe a beloved priest passed, and this brings it all back. That's what grief does. Psychologists call this grief activation. When a current loss echoes something, you're not broken, you're remembering, you're feeling. Let it come, let it speak. The church will meet you there. The Easter paradox, grieving during resurrection. This year, it's even more strange. We shouted, Alleluia, just yesterday. The lilies are still fresh in our churches. The tomb is still empty. And now, a funeral? It's okay to feel confused. The church has always held both death and resurrection at once. We're the people of the cross and the empty tomb. We can cry while believing in eternal life. We can wear black and whisper Alleluia in the same breath. Grief isn't the opposite of faith. It's an expression of love. How you can participate at home. You don't need to be in Rome to enter this holy mourning. And as Catholics, the death of a pope affects all of us. Here are a few ways you can join the church in this moment, because it's important for you to go through your own grief process. You could light a candle and pray Psalm 130, Out of the depths I cry to you, O Lord. You could attend a Requiem Mass or offer one for his soul. You could pray the Office of the Dead or the Rosary for the church. You can talk to your children about what's happening and let them light a candle with you. Or you can write a letter to the staff at the Vatican. I'll put the address on the screen now. Pope Francis died in the light of Easter. What a grace. The church is grieving, yes, but we are grieving with hope. Please keep in touch with the Catholic Counseling Institute. As we go through this period, we'll be producing videos that shed light on the psychological aspects of the steps until our new Pope. Until next time, remember, there will always be a place for you and tissues to share on the Catholic couch.